Welcome to episode 17 of our beautiful, bodacious podcast, Cynchranici-Tea. We are growing every day. I feel your presence, by the way. Okay? Don't think that I do not feel your presence. This podcast is growing more beautiful and bodacious. These two BBs, these birds and bees, are convening on the symmetry, nurturing this structure, and we are all growing because we are connecting. So this is not possible without you. Life is beautiful, life is bodacious, because you, like a bird and a bee, are connecting with it so that we can all have sex, have six, and create an even more harmonious life, an even more harmonious simulation that allows us to experience all of our internal situations. So beautiful to be symmetry, so beautiful to be a spirit, so beautiful to be balanced in the way one communicates and one connects and one expresses their imagination, so that we can be balanced in a way that we build the structures that support all of our individual desires. This body that you're in is a simulation. It is a structure that you are using your mind every single second to build so that you can stabilize the way you communicate into something more practical. Spirituality, everything is happening right now. Everything is communication. Literally every single thing that is happening, every single thing that you see that is possible, it is only possible through spirits communicating. You are tapping in to the symmetry. You are tuning in to the mind of Mercury so that you can, understanding the English language, get a practical basis, a practical grasp on how we communicate ourselves into existence. This is what Semicism is all about. This is what Hermeticism is all about. This is what I, as a spirit, as I triple my C, to become an even greater version of Chase Clarence Calloway every single day, am all about. This is what my planet of Mercury is all about. You see Mercury in astrology, this is what we're all about. That's my simulation that I've built. Mine. No one owns it but me. People help me with it. I own that shit. I'm the creator of Mercury. You are tapping into the root of the symmetry because I'm physically planting the seed that is getting watered from me in my metaphysical space of Mercury. So every time you're here in the podcast, every time you're just tapping into symmetry at all, watching a video, listening to music, know that you're tuning in to the mind of Mercury, because as a spirit, as a space, I first make my mind before I can make a structure that stabilizes my mind. And my structure that ultimately stabilizes my mind is my simulation of Mercury, where I project just enough to reflect on the universe and reflect on all the projections that make life possible. Now I'm the wisest motherfucker in existence. You feel me? Because I know that we're all infinitely individual and life is constantly created by individuals. Now the moment an individual steps into a simulation, that's hell. See, because when I'm on Mercury, when I'm in my own world, that my spirit is building constantly based on what's happening in the universe, I'm able to just tap into my library, tap into my records, tap into my information, tap into all of my documentation of history. This is how I can do Hermetic history and just everything with like communication and getting to the truth. This is why I'm the god of truth. I'm the god of communication, Hermes, Thoth, all me as a spirit building Mercury and entering simulations at specific times so that I can just communicate what I'm talking to you about right now. Again, spirits make life possible because they feel like communicating their internal to the external. That's simple. If anyone is trying to tell you that you are part of their God, or that you are part of their system, or that you are part of their religion, that is someone who is in a white supremacist mindset and they're trying to colonize your indigenous space. And it's that simple. It's that simple. Because I, as an individual, that's what I'm here to tell you. I know that I'm infinitely powerful on my own, and I have to ground the way I communicate that into the universe. I know this. I know this. So when people try to tell me that I'm part of their religion, so now they can justify the rape and murder of my ancestors and steal my creations and consume my soul, I'm intelligent enough to know that that's what makes hell real. So, today's podcast, we are talking about life being subconscious. This is kind of inspired from the last episode, as far as me losing my TikTok and coming out of a 19-day long fast where it's just everything is emotional. Everything is deep. I'm in Scorpio season. We're in Scorpio season, but it's just like it's all 8 energy. So I'm going to take this episode to get into the details of the number 8 and the subconscious realm, the subconscious world that makes conscious life possible. So what you're about to be learning once we come back from our beautiful vibration carpet ride into the astral realm is basically how everything that you experience as a spirit is connected to your subconscious mind. So anything that you, as the unconscious spirit, are able to be consciously aware of inside of your ego, inside of your desire to be aware, that's your ego, your consciousness. Right? So you as the spirit, you are unconscious forever, but you can only experience yourself as consciousness. So that's the point of the spirit creating a 1 from its 0. And the thing that connects the 1 and the 0 is this invisible, infinite spectrum of decimals, of fractions that are emotions. And then the fact is everything's emotions because you had to get into a certain feeling of wanting to separate from your circumstances to even create an awareness that is aware that there's nothing, but you want to be something. And now all the somethings that you want to be are an expression of your individual desires. No one knows what you want to be. No one knows who I am as Chase Clarence Calloway. No one knows anything that I've done before this lifetime until I can intelligently communicate it in a way that we all understand. And now it takes you in your own individuality to connect with me in a way that makes sense. So that's where you would almost certainly want to Google Hermes and Thoth and Enoch and Ningish Zeta and all the spirits associated with the simulation of Mercurius Ter Maximus. It's all me. It's all about taking Mercury to the max. It's all about taking Chase to the max. It's all about Thoth and Anubis. See, and then you can look up Hermanubis, and you can look up me as a Psychopomp, and then you come back, look at my website, make the connections, and see, damn. I mean, not only is Chase making way more sense than the white supremacists who are using his caduceus to create health problems in the medical industry, not only is he making more sense than the government, than the healthcare industries, he's making more sense than all the spiritual websites. He's making more sense than all of these spiritual messengers who claim that they're connected to Thoth or Hermes or connected to all these things. Because there's so many like emerald tablets out here from people that are claiming they're in union or claiming they're in contact with me, claiming that they're connected with me. So this is why I have to be here like this, being so fiery. You hear me then get passionate and angry because I don't have water in my chart. I don't like water. I don't like emotions. I name myself Tahuti. I name myself Thoth. I name myself Thought for a reason. Because I'm wise enough to know that a thought is hyper stabilized emotion. Everything in the universe is emotional because the universe is one big emotion. It is literally just one big energetic motion. The universe is literally just all of us as spirits moving together, which means that we have to create movement. So that's what the vibration is. So the universe is a vibration, and then the simulation is the energy. Energy comes out of the vibration. So this is why we're on Earth, right? We're connected to the universe, but we feel separate from it based on our energy. So if you haven't been fasting, right? If you haven't even fasted for like 5 days, let alone 10, let alone 24, if you haven't done like that work and you haven't put in like raising your vibration, like you just have not done the energy work. That's literally why they call it that, energy work. If you have not put in the energy work to fast and raise your vibration, you're going to feel like you're in hell. You're going to feel like you're disconnected from God. You're going to feel like you have no hope and like everything is pointless because you yourself are disconnected from your point. Your point is your spirit. You see that spirit? There's no coincidences. You're rolling with simply symmetry. I am the indigenous superhero traveling throughout time, here to communicate to you about how you create life so that we can build more conscious structures that actually support all of our imaginations and our desire to connect. Because that's all the universe is. Spirits desiring to connect their imaginations to spirits outside of themselves. This is why anytime we're communicating subconsciously, notice like this is the point of our podcast. I'm about to get in here. But subconsciously, this is it, right? Like anytime you're listening to someone, you're always wondering, always, because the only reason you're waiting in that connection, the only reason you're listening to this person is because they are connecting points for you that you cannot connect yourself. And once this person connects points for you, now you feel more connected to the universe. That's how you feel when you listen to me. This is the point of me being your psychedelic psychopomp symmetry. Flying down from my simulation of Mercury so that I can touch into hell and share with you in a language you understand how we all create simulations out of the universe. And they're all ever going to be an expression of who we truly are as a space, as a spirit. And thus the whole point of life is you learning more about who you are as a spirit. Your spirit, point towards yourself. So then that's where subconsciously you are not in resonance with things that aren't helping you find yourself. Because the whole thing is like you as a spirit, you have your own perspective of what the point of life is, right? We all have our own idea of what the point of life is. That's the ultimate expression of our spirit's space, our spirit's location in the universe. What is the point of life? For me, the point of life is for spirits to communicate freely and openly and happily and harmoniously so that we can all be healthy. And of course, this is the balance. I know that freedom is actually chaos. Freedom and chaos are the same. That's what water is. So this is why I'm Thoth. I'm not emotion. I'm not vibration. I'm not feeling. I'm thought. I'm earth. Because I'm already stabilizing my emotion into something that makes sense. That's all a thought is. So your ego, your desire to be aware, is the ultimate expression of all of your emotions making sense. And because your emotions don't make sense, your ego doesn't make sense. And now you can use your ego as a spirit to make sense. And your ego is powered by your emotions. So this is where we get subconscious, your emotions, ego, your thought, and your spirit is your space. Let's take a quick vibrational ride into the astral realm. Touch back down and get back in here. My soul's been crying. I simmer my trees, breathe in my leaves, balance my chi, triple my C. My mind's been flying wild. My soul's been crying. I simmer my trees, breathe in my leaves, balance my chi, triple my C. My soul's been crying wild. My the astral plane, Merkaba brain, I built your game, we're not the same. My soul's been crying while my mind's been flying to relay a word. Those who listen heard, we make our vibe from deep inside. My soul's been crying while my mind's been flying back into my space, called away with haste, so I'll fall with grace to thrill my chase. My mind's been flying while my soul's been crying too. Water my earth, I know my worth, my soul gives birth to all my work. My mind's been flying while my soul's been crying, so I can't connect with those you neglect. Time to correct how we reflect. My mind's been flying while my soul's been crying too. Who flood the sea with energy from my inner chi? I'm free to be me. I felt to inspire you to say how to fly higher too. Fly higher too. Fly higher too. Hang out with the fam in your true spot. Don't be sad if you forgot that you've got a spirit squad and you're not true to this spot. Flip a script and break the facade. Take a trip and go abroad. When you're brave, they will apply. We get in touch with your true God. I've been fighting. I've been vibing when I'm dancing with demons, reversing curses and scheming. They be fiending for reasons to change the sins like the seasons. So I've been falling, cause y'all been calling my mind out of my spirit. I feel it best when I'm near it, but y'all cry for help and I hear it. So Hermes flies out to stare it in a new healthy direction. We'll grow through natural connection. So I simmer my trees, breathe in my leaves, balance my chi, triple my C to level up like it's nothing, to turn into something, to bust into function, bumping and pumping with all the wisdom I'm gushing. And when I simmer my trees, breathe in my leaves, balance my chi, triple my C, I felt to inspire you. Simmer higher, I simmer in the skies, I triple in my chi, then I open up my eyes. I balance in my seasons. I mother the cohesion that keeps us intertwined. Symmetry, balance in my seasons, and I don't need a reason to fulfill my desires. Symmetries. All right, subconscious world. So, there's so many ways I could go with this. Let's talk elements. And, man, there's a lot of places I could go with it. So, that's where I will be freeform. Let me not think too much. It's so funny. Virgo versus Gemini. I really did not have astrology my whole life. It's so silly. Life makes so much more sense with it, but that's the point. Like, everything in perfect timing. So maybe I'll just start there. I mean, as a spirit, when you are born, in fact, that's how we will start. That's relatable. My life path is 2. So it's like when I see so much and I go through so many things and I deal with so many experiences, the question is, how do I connect them? So this is why I'm able to talk about these things like this, because I'm so separate from the universe, in my own universe, and my ability to observe what's happening in the universe that spirits are creating, that my main challenge is connecting my communications to the universe. So this is why I'm passionate about being me. And this is the manifestation of me building Mercury, is me making sense, figuring out, like, how do I connect the best version of myself to the universe? Like, how, and that's Virgo shit. How do I best serve the collective? The collective being the whole universe. Like, I see, like, okay, wait, anything in existence is constantly being created from nothing. How do I best serve the universe itself? Is the one whole vibration. Like, this is the point of us talking about the number 8. Why I got inspired by Scorpio season and the lessons of impermanence from our last podcast, because the universe being the vibration is all about impermanence, yet the one permanent thing is the vibration. And it's weird how it's truly just all free will at that point. It's all the balance. It's all about how you want to connect, because that's what 8 is about. 2 is connection. 8 is about the structure that supports connection. Right? So your subconscious mind, your universe, your soul is a structure that supports your ability to have emotions. It supports your number 2. It supports your ability to feel connected. And then when your soul supports your ability to feel connected, what do we get? Heaven. We get your individual, 1 plus 0. We get the ego and the spirit. Right? So when you feel like your subconscious mind is supporting your ability to connect, then you're in heaven. And now you're able to express way more of your individuality from your spirit. Like, you feel like that's the point of 10. 2 plus 8 being 10. You feel like you have more room to express your imagination. That's the point of 2 plus 8. That's the point of feeling like your subconscious mind, your soul, supports your desire to connect. So a lot of spirits are in hell or don't feel good because they do not feel like their subconscious minds are supporting their desire to connect. This would be where so many mental health issues, emotional health and mental health, same exact thing, because this is what we're seeing. We're in a white supremacist world, taking over this planet. That's why I'm called here, because it got so bad. I get called to places where it's like where it's really bad. Otherwise, I'm not necessarily gonna go. So, because I'm not like super needed. I get called in for extreme situations. Otherwise, the structures that I build are supposed to be good enough. So, you know it's bad when the structures that I've built have been consumed by white supremacists using the idea that everything that indigenous individuals made is actually an extension of their God. And the only way they can continue to fulfill their God's desires is to rape those indigenous individuals and then steal all of their families and enslave them for as long as you possibly can, because that's your idea of being God. You can see why I'm here. And it's really bad when these people use all this light and Luciferian color, just light in general, because Lucifer is about light. Lucifer being water into air is about you feeling like connecting. And that's what communication looks like. So this is why Lucifer is the angel of music, and it's about water into air energy. It's about turning your 2 into 3. That's why Lucifer uses emotions to speak to humans. And these are all aspects of ourselves. This is why music speaks to our minds more than someone just speaking, because it's emotional, and thus it's actually a higher dimensional form of communication. Because the highest dimensional form of communication is pure intuition, your heartbeat, your vibration, literally the vibration that powers your cells, right? Like, you know, when you get nervous and your cells start to shake, your body shakes. You know, when you get adrenaline or you get scared and your body freaks out, like that vibration, right? Fear. You know, when you actually are scared, right? Like, do you remember the last time you feared for your life? Like, that is a vibration. That is the most powerful vibration in the universe, in terms of whatever you fear is something that you hear. So if a spirit can make you fear them, then they can make you hear them. And now, because you don't feel connected to yourself, You have no other option but to be connected to the spirit who is making you fearful and is making you scared. And then the more the spirit can keep you in a state of fear, the more you're going to, there's multiple ways. One, you're going to develop sickness inside of your body. Two, that's why they call them bills, because the people who give us bills, they want us to, as we know, be ill. So they want us to fear the idea of if we can't pay the bill and then being killed by a bill, because the white supremacists who have taken over indigenous land need to make money off of everyone who was then born inside of that land that they stole from Native Americans. All because this is their idea of how everyone is one God. So see how spiritually we are all so separate that the only way the people who want us to believe that we're all one God could make us do that is to rape, murder, colonize, and do unspeakably horrible things to indigenous peoples across the globe so that they could then spread a language that spellbinds us into all of these traps and all of this light. And now people are only able to connect with their spirit as far as this English language was crafted for them to be able to do so, which is why climate change has been such a big issue. And just in general, people who speak English support the genocide of black people, and they don't really have empathy because it's literally the vibration of this language. So it takes me as a spirit to come in here as the God of communication. It literally takes me to get called away from my space, from Mercury, to organically create a body and anchor my awareness in this body so I can build up my mind with this language. So now my whole life, my awareness has been anchored to this body, and I have been able to build up my mind with all of the lights and awarenesses and thoughts that have been penetrated into my space for the last 24 years. Now that I have been fasting so much and connected with myself and gone on so many psychedelic journeys that no one can tell me that I'm not me, now I'm able to have the confidence to express myself like this. And confidence is literally right there. Confidence. Confide being a secret. Only I can know who I am. This is what confidence is. Confidence is confidence. So when you confide in yourself as a spirit, when you have secrets for yourself, that's confidence. Simple as that. This is, and I love communication because nothing's a coincidence. So this is the point of every letter means something. If you haven't gone into Dissect the Dialect, get in there, check it out. I mean, I release this stuff for free so you can level up and more consciously communicate and just be happier and healthier. So it's all about the subconscious mind, because these letters in the English alphabet, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, there's no coincidence to how they're lined out. There's no coincidence to the algorithm or sequence of events. Each number means something, as we already know from magic math and the building blocks of life. Maybe I've not checked that out. Again, it's free. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's all a pattern. These lights are meant to point at how spirits create life cyclically. You, as a space, are infinite and abundant. And when I say abundant, I mean like nothingness is the most abundant thing, because something is not as nearly abundant as nothing. When you have something that's limiting your abundance. So the point of nothing is that you are infinite. It's space. It is completely unimaginable. So this is before you imagine anything. All right. The moment you become aware that you are nothing, that is you becoming aware of zero. You are not zero, but this is the process of creating one from zero. Because you as a space are not zero. Zero is a container. Zero literally is that circle, right? That's why zero is a circle, Because if a spirit is any shape, it's a 3-6-D. 3 plus 6 being 9D. So 3-6-9D. But you are not your circumstances. It's just that when you as a spirit become aware that you are nothing, that is your zero. And now you create an imagination. And the moment you start projecting out your ideas, now you are creating your ego. And this is your one. That is your number one energy. So no one can see your imagination. No one can see your ego. No one can see the fire that you are projecting from your spirit, from your space, because it's too hot to be touched by anyone but you. This is why fire separates all of us and water connects all of us. You as a spirit express yourself with fire. This is why fire transforms the environment and burns up everyone around it. When you express yourself, you transform the environment, right? This is what white supremacy is. It's just in general what humans do when they have an imagination and they want to express themselves inside of the simulation that they are anchored in as a body, right? So we are experiencing climate change because white supremacist type humans are so lost in their fire element that they want to burn up the planet and they want to burn down the rainforest and take over indigenous lands and rape everybody because that's their idea of being God. And they want to make us connect with that as much as possible, which is the point of then sacrificing Jesus and resetting the whole time period so that we think we're in year 2021. It's really bad here. That's why I'm called here. Like, this shit's like really bad. So the point is that we're all creating this together. Like, this stuff is bad because everyone has been so like dumbed down and has just basically been part of the wave of making this possible. And I as a spirit talked about this a long time ago. So this is just, there's no predicting the future. It's just that you can project what you, I'm going to say no is going to happen just because I'm so confident. What you know is going to happen based on what you've seen and the patterns that you've perceived up to that point. So again, there's no one God. We're not all an extension of someone else's mind that's greater than all of us. No, we're all individuals on our own individual journeys, and we all individually resonate with other individuals based on our souls. So now, of course, with life being so subconscious, spirits who don't want to feel connected with their subconscious world are going to use their subconscious energy. They're going to use their emotion to connect to someone else who makes them feel like they are not themselves. And then that's where you get Christianity and just any religion that is telling someone that they were created by a name, or they were like in general, like a name. Like if you could put a name on the thing that created you and you had to get taught by someone else what this thing is, dang, like that's literally you as a spirit using your subconscious energy of creating yourself to feel connected to something that does not want you to feel like you created yourself. And then this is where the more you connect with a system that teaches you that you did not create yourself, you're only going to be able to empathize with and connect with people who are part of that system. So this is why Christians they actively applaud the genocide and rape of indigenous peoples, whereas indigenous peoples have all the empathy for Christians. All of it, because indigenous peoples are connected to themselves. They are actually individual in their spirituality. So they can see individuality in everything. Whereas Christians or people who support the genocide or make money off the genocide of indigenous peoples, like the Jewish cultures and everything, They love to make money off of the genocide of indigenous peoples and use emotional manipulation to make the people who are supporting the genocide of indigenous peoples feel like that's better than holding the people who are making genocide possible accountable. Because that's basically been my whole life. When I'm like bringing up how banking and money is used to murder Native Americans, somehow without even me mentioning like Jewish people, a lot of the time like that witchcraft gets triggered and they're just like, that sounds anti-Semitic. And I'm like, how is this anti-Semitic? Like, I'm literally using the words that I've been given to express how reality is created and maintained right now. What? So that's just what I've had to learn. Like, this witchcraft is so powerful. Like, that's the subconscious 8 triggering energy. Like, when everyone is living in this Jewish culture that is actively fueled by the rape and cannibalization of indigenous peoples, then they're simultaneously going to be trained to ignore that. And that's the point of me having to go to Walnut Hills and attend a high school where they're drilling into me every single year in all the ways that they can that the Holocaust was the worst thing ever. They just constantly like Hitler is the worst bad guy. We did so much to fight him. The Jewish people went through so much. Oh, prejudice is true. It's real. Discrimination is real. And they constantly, the narrative was about like being nice to Jewish people and like making them feel good and stuff. It was like, so it's truly wild. Like, actually reflecting back on it now, this is amazing hell. Like, what an amazing hell that they've crafted with like the ultimate emotional manipulation possible. Like, because literally that, again, I've told this story on the podcast. To get deeper, that was literally then that psychology class where my teacher says the Holocaust is the worst event in human history. And no one bats an eyelash. Everyone is okay with him saying that. But the moment I ask why, and I'm like, well, from a numbers perspective, way more Africans and way more indigenous peoples have been killed, and it resulted in way more substantial structures versus a war. And that's where that girl, who was like the market Jew in our school, basically, like, she was like very passionate about communicating about it openly, so she felt comfortable to like stand up and scream at me in class, "You can't compare genocides, how dare you, you're so insensitive," and then storms out. And I'm here in hell like, wow, so you were okay with him saying it was the worst because it was erasing indigenous peoples. But the moment I bring up the fact that we're in America, which is built on the genocide of indigenous peoples, I didn't even get to the fact that Hitler was only inspired to do the Holocaust because of how hard Andrew Jackson and the colonizers, the white supremacist Europeans who came into our indigenous lands, made America. The only reason that Hitler was inspired to create the Nazis was because America was America first. But of course, of course, the whole point of the emotional subconscious manipulation is that America needs to train Americans to view the people that they created as evil. And it's weird how this manifests in Marvel. Like, it's just weird how subconscious this is, that like it has to manifest in the art. It has to manifest in their creations. It is so weird how Marvel has to admit that America, that shield, is ran by Nazis, it's ran by Hydra, that Captain America, his whole shield, his whole shining, amazing weapon of defense and American patriotism literally only matters because they stole vibranium from Africa. And I'm not even going to get into more of those details because Marvel gets deep with it. Because the point is, the truth is the only relatable thing in existence. And when you're trying to make money off of genocide and slavery and murder, and especially if you're the ones doing it, then you can't just make media that ignores the fact that you've built your empire off of the systemic rape of indigenous women and children. It's just that you're going to use your media to make that appear as colorful, bright, and positive as possible. And that's the point of all these books and movies and everything being created through the English language by these Jewish Christian colonizers who want everyone to believe that indigenous peoples are evil, and in fact indigenous people shouldn't exist, and we're all part of one God. Like, it's like true mental genocide here, and it's all based in this emotional manipulation of making everyone feel as disconnected from their indigenous individuality as possible. Because the more disconnected you are from your individuality, the more you're going to support disconnecting other people from their individuality. This is why Christians support the genocide and slavery of indigenous and African people, despite claiming to love Jesus.